The story everyone is talking about in the US today, and we have the latest updates right here. Welcome to USA News. If you don't want to miss what happens next, subscribe now. Here is what we know so far. A major decision from the United States Supreme Court is sparking a nationwide debate about religious freedom, prisoner rights, and government accountability. In a ruling that could have long-lasting consequences, the Supreme Court has blocked a former Louisiana inmate from suing prison officials for money damages after they cut off his dreadlocks, despite claims that doing so violated his deeply held Rastafari religious beliefs. The case centers on Damon Landor, a former inmate whose story has drawn attention far beyond the prison system. For Landor, his dreadlocks were not simply a hairstyle. They were a sacred expression of his faith and identity as a Rastafarian. According to court records, Landor entered Louisiana's prison system in 2020 carrying something unusual, a copy of a previous federal court ruling that specifically protected inmates whose religious beliefs required them to maintain dreadlocks. At the first facilities where he was housed, prison officials respected those religious protections. But everything changed when he arrived at Raymond Laborde Correctional Center during the final weeks of his incarceration. There, despite his objections and despite existing legal precedent, Landor's dreadlocks were cut. The incident became the foundation of a lawsuit that eventually made its way to the highest court in the nation. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court delivered its answer. In a 6-3 ruling, the justices agreed that what happened to Landor was troubling. However, the court concluded that the federal law designed to protect the religious rights of inmates does not allow individuals to seek money damages from prison officials who violate those rights. Writing for the majority, Justice Neil Gorsuch explained that the law, known as the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, does not explicitly authorize lawsuits against individual officers for financial compensation. As a result, while Landor may have experienced a violation of his religious rights, the court ruled that he cannot recover monetary damages from the officials involved. The decision immediately generated strong reactions. Supporters of the ruling argue that courts must follow the exact language Congress writes into federal law. They believe judges cannot create remedies that lawmakers did not specifically authorize. Critics see the ruling very differently. In a powerful dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson warned that the decision could weaken incentives for prison officials to comply with federal protections for religious freedom. She argued that cases like Landor's demonstrate exactly why such protections were created in the first place. For many Americans following the case, the emotional aspect is difficult to ignore. No one involved in the litigation defended the decision to cut Landor's dreadlocks. Even government attorneys acknowledged concerns about what occurred. Yet the legal battle ultimately focused not on whether the act was wrong, but on what remedies are available when such violations happen. The ruling now raises broader questions about accountability, religious liberty, and the limits of legal protections inside America's prison system. As reactions continue to pour in, this case serves as a reminder that some of the nation's most important constitutional debates often begin with the experiences of a single individual. And for Damon Landor, a fight that started over a deeply personal expression of faith has now become part of a landmark Supreme Court decision that could shape prisoner religious rights for years to come.